Hello everyone, good morning. Shegun Fatumo, how are you today? Tokumbo, hello, good morning. Baby, Doom, what is that picture? Interesting. Nkem, hi. Bosse, Famo Happy, Paul Eric, Joti Dowu, Tina Steven, Marshall Esong, Ojekwa Israel, hi. Emily Edoko, Rochelle White, Tiger Diepre. Rochelle White say, good morning, Pastor Sunday. You are one of the best investments of my life. From the other side of the world, from New Zealand. You are in New Zealand and I'm here and I'm the best investment of your life. Amazing. 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 I'm happy. That makes me happy. Thank you. Nana Kalu say, Pastor, you are looking good. Are you sure? Oh, no, I look ordinary. I think I just look ordinary. I tried to come here, just look as simple as I could. Abayomi, Apostle Abayomi, Onadikwe, Gab Guevara, Guevara. It's not Guevara, it's Guevara. Okay. Guevara. Okay, G. Right, I got it now. Guevara. Hello, Elizabeth. How is Kenya? Ovi Dominic, Okoli Emeka. Hello, Lindu Eric. Fumi Adewusi, Ladi Shorunke, Bola Luro, Jacob Sali is here, Lola Shorunke, Abhishek Jason from India, Nalon Adebayo, Ireland, Mayowa Adenekan, I don't know where he's from, Aline Paradise, Shioma Ugwudi, Kazim Ahmed, Winifred Akpan, Nosa Favor, Esther Kuganja, Rafi Akala, Bereket Tekle, Fumi Jeboda, Charles Smith, Fabo Happy, David Otori, Jake Hockey. David Otori is asking me to post my email address. You write it. I said it that you write. I don't post. You write. It's pastor@godembassy.org. Pastor@godembassy.org. If you cannot write that, then I wonder what you can do. So you write that. That's simple enough to write. Anojo, good morning. Akinlabi Abo Obasanjo. Wow. Good morning. Is that Obasanjo for president? Our former president? Maybe not. Olukayode Kundayo. Good morning. Well, yeah, we're ready to go. So nice to see all of you here this morning, and I hope today you got notification. Yesterday people didn't get notification. I hope some of you got notification today. Ike Amadi is back. Wow. Okay. Well, here we go, and it will be nice to have you go and share the link. Just let's quickly go and share the link before we continue. Look for your share button. Let's go share the link, please. Let's go share the link. Once we share the link, we'll be ready to go. So look for your share button. And we'll be ready to go. All right. Have you all shared the link? As everybody shared, once you've shared it, then we can take off from there. You see, this week we're still continuing to talk about calling. We are still continuing to talk about calling, how to help you discover your calling, how to help you discover who you are. While you are here on the earth, what God sent you here for. And the topic for today is your calling is in what you can do without noticing time. That looks simple, isn't it? Your calling is in what you can do without noticing time. Are there some things that you can do without noticing time? I'm not like saying, this is not talking about, you know what people do, especially when we were young, and we used to say, oh, I'm looking for how to while away time. Let's just go and play somewhere. Let's while away some time. Let's while away time. This point I'm making today is not about whining away time. Anybody can do stupid stuff. Anybody can be foolish. Anybody can spend time foolishly and just, unthoughtfully. Anybody can be unthoughtful. Anybody can be stupid. Anybody can be foolish. Anybody can just spend their time and whine it away and kill the time. That's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about being the ability to be so engulfed in serious matters without even minding the time. So your calling is in whatever you are able to go into, devote your time into, immerse yourself into so much, so deep that you don't even care for the time, you don't care for how long you are there, how many hours has passed, and how long your time there. When you just immerse yourself into something serious, that you are so caught up with it that it takes all your time, that maybe you only have time to eat and to go to the restroom. Otherwise, you are just so busy. And that is not, let me start by telling you some of the wonderful stories that I like in this way. And I never thought that this would ever happen to me, but you know what? I'm moving more and more to that lifestyle myself. There is a story that is told of Thomas Edison, but not just Thomas Edison. But let me start with the story of George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver is one of the greatest inventors in the world that has ever lived. In fact, he's my own greatest inventor. Thanks to George Washington Carver, I got to know the secrets of invention. And that's why I'm so convinced that I can invent. And inventing it's not a big deal. George Washington Carver is a black man, a son of a slave, who was actually a slave himself, a former slave, and who sent himself to school, got himself educated in a very dramatic situation in America. But that slave boy was eventually to be the one to rescue the economy of the southern part of the South in America, southern part of America. So instead of him going to gather all the GOs of America to do conference and prayer meetings in the stadium, when the economy of America hit a bottom low, because there was a law that canceled slavery, and when they let all the slaves go, there was nobody to work on the fields, and only a few people. So there was nothing to do. The economy just collapsed, and then also the cotton business just dropped because the slaves were producing the cotton. So, and the cotton was the source of the economy, was the backbone of the economy of the South. Just like Nigeria now, when this backbone of the economy is oil. And so now it's just like the similar situation when the economy is going down because they couldn't produce cotton anymore. There was no demand for cotton, and of course there was also mechanization. There was industrialization was coming, so people didn't need to so a lot of changes were happening in the economy. Just like with our country, Nigeria, when the oil is no more selling, I mean, they cannot produce enough. The militants are, bumping everything, and there is no income, there is no revenue. One single man saved the economy of America. One single man. One single man. And that single man was a black man. I mean, can you imagine right now with the situation Nigeria is going through, that one person will come and bring about an invention that will bring the same amount of money that we are making in oil, or even more money than with oil. Can you imagine somebody doing that? And the invention he came up with was granite. Granite. He used granite to produce more money than cotton, than, like we say, oil can produce. One man. He was led by the Spirit. He was so close to God, friendly with the Holy Spirit. And he was a ferocious inventor, thinker. He was innovator. Was a great man. Go and read the story of George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver. He was something else. So he was producing from granite alone, I think, close to 400 different products. 400 different products from granite. It's unbelievable. 400 different products. And they just used that to revolutionize the economy of the South. And that's how American economy survived the Depression. Because of one man. And we are in Nigeria, we have 170 million people. But instead of us to tell them to go to the library and to go to the laboratories and go and do invention and innovation and go and lock themselves up in the library and laboratories, we tell our people to go lock themselves up in the church or in the stadium with a bunch of other people. To go to just be praying and praying and praying. And, it's not bad to pray, but what do you do? What is the result of the prayer? What do you do after the prayer? This man also was a praying man. He was a man of God. One of the greatest Christian inventors you ever hear about. And he was a praying man. He was a believer, strong believer. And he did everything through his relationship with the Holy Spirit. But, today, they just tell us to pray, 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 and wait for God to come and do it. And that was the difference between the praying men of those days and praying men of today. The people who prayed that time, they prayed and went out from the place of prayer to go and do it, what they have prayed about, to go and perform it, to go and make the miracle happen. They are not waiting for God to make the miracle happen. Well, that's not what I wanted to tell you about George Washington Carver. The story about George Washington Carver is this. The man was such a workaholic, even though he was a Christian. So this is a departure from a lot of what Christians are doing today. I mean, that you just pray, God will make a way, or you don't need to work hard, or one day of favor is better than 12 days or 2 years of labor or something. Some funny quotations, some funny, indolent thoughts and sayings that Christians have come up with, that one day of favor is better than 10 years of labor. If you don't labor, you don't get any products. You don't get any reward. You don't get any results. You don't get any products. You need time to produce any products. You need time to produce any service. You need time to do quality. You need time to be able to do anything competitive. You need time to be able to produce anything worthwhile. Anyway, so what you remember the topic of today is that your calling is in whatever you can do. Whatever you are doing, that you could immerse yourself so much in that you don't even remember the time. I mean, whatever it is that could take your time, so that you could put yourself in, that you could immerse yourself in, that you could so much, immerse yourself into and dedicate yourself to be doing something constructive and productive to the extent that you don't notice time. So whatever you can do without noticing time is your calling. Whatever you can do without noticing time is your calling. Whatever you can do without noticing time. So that's why I started to talk to you about, George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver is one of my big loves. It's one of the loves of my life. I cannot get tired reading about him. I cannot get tired reading about him. You know, it's my love story. It's my love story. And anyway, George Washington Carver, one of the things that he did is that he would go, he was so convinced about invention. He was so serious about contributing something to his world. He was so busy inventing, studying plants, leaves, plants, and nature that he didn't have time to marry. He didn't have time to marry. He didn't have time for women. He was so caught up with it that he was so busy. So when you are so busy as not to notice beautiful women, then you are very busy. Then you are really called. Most men are not like George Washington Carver. Most men notice women, even if they are scientists or even if they are inventors. They still notice. They still have a little bit of time to notice beautiful women, but not George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was so much in love with science. He was so much in love with plants. He was so much in love with nature. He wanted to get the secret of nature. He wanted to get the secret of plants. He was so caught up with invention and with creativity, with innovation, that he was a genuine inventor. He was a genuine scientist. He was such a scientist that he gave his all for it. So whenever when we were in secondary school and we were young, and those boys who never had time for girls, we used to call them crazy. Now I know better. I know better. If you know anybody, if you have any contact with youth, with young people, and maybe your son or your children or your siblings or your family people, or you are a teacher, and you know the way they used to mock, and even parents and adults used to put pressure on those young men and tell them, you are not living your life. Go find something interesting to do. Go find a girlfriend. Go find friends. Go do this. Why are you just reading? Go have fun. Go have some fun. And we used to think, and I used to believe it. I used to think that, if you don't have fun, it means you are not normal. That is what the society tells you. God, Jesus. And it is because of those kind of stupid thoughts, saying that if you don't have fun, you are not living. Those kind of rubbish, mediocre life, worldview that is killing innovation in us. It is because of those stupid, mediocre kind of thoughts that is making us to kill the geniuses among us. It's making us to destroy the passion and the calling, the destiny of thousands of people, of our youth, of our children. Because we discourage them from going into solitude. Solitude with their invention, solitude with their thoughts, solitude with their creativity. We stop them from imagining themselves in something that can really give birth to the deliverance of all nations. We stop them from imagining themselves in creativity so strong that could enrich the world, that could have bettered the world, lifted the world up, and changed the world. We chase them from their place of concentration, from their place of productivity, from their place of destiny. I don't know where you grew up or what are the culture where you were growing up. But where I grew up, in fact, the reason why I started having girlfriends and partying and doing all the discotheque is because of that mindset, that, you don't live a boring life. We thought it was a boring life. You don't live that kind of fun life, fun-driven, pleasure-oriented lifestyle. I didn't know that is the bankruptcy lifestyle, to be looking for pleasure, looking for boyfriend, girlfriend, and discotheque and dance. That is vanity upon vanity lifestyle. Lifetime of frivolousness. trivial lifestyle. And even the adults, even the teachers will push you into that kind of lifestyle and tell you, go and have fun. You are not enjoying life. You are not enjoying life. What are you doing in your life? Go and enjoy life. There are some good guys that just like to be alone. There are some good guys that just like to be studying, to just be, to be thinking. But in our culture, I read one comment yesterday by, I think it's someone who is not African, and I think she used to go to an African church, and she said, I stopped going to African churches. I said, what? The person is writing in my comments, and she said, why? Because Africans just they don't want you to be alone. They don't like you. I like to be alone and to be private and to think and just study and read, but they don't want you to be like that. They always come to bother you and say, oh, you are not happy, are you depressed, are you alone, or are you sad, is anything wrong? They just want to bother you. They don't want you to be alone. Our culture does not appreciate privacy. Our culture does not appreciate solitude. Our culture thinks that if you are alone, if you are private, if you are in solitude, that you are that you are living a boring life, that you are bored. So they want to help you. They are thinking they are helping you. They put pressure on you. They come and be dragging you through and be pushing pressure on you to get out of solitude. To get out of solitude. So it's crazy. So I'm saying this just to be able to help somebody up there, that the way we spend our time is a pointer to our destiny. And if you see a young man that is spending his time in something that takes away his time, in something that is so engulfing to him, that is so involving for him, that is making him to do something constructive, maybe to study, don't you ever touch him or her. I used to, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I always get emotional talking about myself. It's not a good thing. But sorry for that. I told the story already that I never could read till I was 10 years old. I couldn't read. 10 years, I was in class 4 or so, or class 5 before I could begin to read. Some of these stereotypes could handicap young men. Some of these stereotypes could maim people. Some of these stereotypes could paralyze your life and destiny. Okay, let me take a book. Let's say this book now. If this is and there, somebody will tell me this is and, A-N-D. And I will say, why and? You just taught me that it is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Because they taught me alphabet, and I caught up the alphabet. I could remember the alphabet. I got alphabet. But when you write it, you don't call it A, you call it and. I say, how and? But it's A. Why should you say it? You just told me it is A. Are you not the one who just told me it is A? So when they write Papa, they say Papa. I say, no, I don't understand. Okay, I will say it if you want me to say it. That it's Papa, P-A-P-A. You want me to say it's Papa? Okay, I will say it's Papa. But I don't say that this is Papa. They say instead of explaining it, they just begin to beat me in the head. She hit me in the head and say, you are dull, you cannot read. Everything I read is questionable. I want to question it. I want to say, but this is not the way it's written. What is written is pay. You say it's A, P-A. You say A, B, C. If it's A, it's pay, pay. But you now telling me it's papa. So my mind couldn't come around with. That's why I was not good in mathematics. Because I couldn't understand why you just tell me, go and read the formula here and copy it so you do that. I want to think of other ways to do it. Why don't you allow me to think, come up? I want to come up with a way of resolving, not just copy what other people have said or what other people have already discovered. It's always not interesting for me to just use what other people have discovered. I don't know if you people get it. You know, it's not always interesting for me to just follow the rule. Just say, okay, just do this. I feel I'm being violated, that I'm not a human being. That's the way I always felt from childhood. So when they tell me, they put anything down, they write anything and they share, okay, let's say leadership. I said, but this is EA. Leadership. But why do you call leadership? So I always question everything. But my teachers and my family and my relatives that were trying to teach me to get to read. So I got into a stupor because of that. I couldn't get it. Because they would tell me A, B, C is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. They would tell me that is it. This is the way it is A. Then when I begin to read, they will tell me, no, it is R now. And this other one, it is E. E is leadership here. It's not R anymore. It's not even A. So it got me so messed up in my mind. So they would just be beating me. You can't read. And at my school and in my environment where I was growing up, kids were already reading at 6 years old. At 6 years old, you are supposed to be reading already. And they just kept on beating me. I couldn't read. They would take me to the next class, class 2. I didn't even know how I got there. But still, I would not be able to read. Because of that confusion in my mind. I would always be having questions. And because I was not reading, because I couldn't read because I couldn't think straight, like just in the line, straight line thinking. And I didn't know that was even the problem. Now it's just recently that I discovered that. But they had only one explanation. And the explanation was, you are too dull. You are too dull. You don't want to study. You are too dull. Just keep on beating. You will never study. You don't want to study. You don't know anything. You are dull. What is in your head? All kind of things. At the end of the day, when I was grown up, I just decided that, okay, I will just do what they tell me to do. They are going to kill me. I didn't know that what I was having was actually a different way of studying. I never knew that I had critical thinking. I had a critical mind. And my own style of study was through critical thinking. Not seeing things in the ordinary way. Not following the chart. Not following the path that everybody follows. And if you see my teaching, if you listen to me, if you are one of the people listening to me, you will discover that Pastor Sunday talks differently. That Pastor Sunday reasons differently. You will discover that I bring out things other people don't see. That is as a result of my critical thinking. And that's the way I learn. That is just my nature. I've got to study. I've got to understand everything for myself. I don't just repeat what other people are saying. I don't just follow what other people are saying. I've got to study it. I've got to agree with it before I repeat it. I've got to know it's right. And I've got to look at it from every angle. I've got to get to the truth by myself. But I was almost killed for that. But it is because they used to just say, in that time that you can only study two ways. Either you study by what you hear or by what you see, visual and sound. So they will show me the house. I see the house, but they will say I should pronounce it opposite of what is written in my own mind. But my own way of thinking and learning was through critical thinking. But they couldn't appreciate that. I needed to follow. So that's why I was not good in mathematics as well. And in mathematics, they would just say, there is a formula that was given to you last week. So that formula is what you use for all these things. How can I just use one formula that is just, okay, this other one is this formula, this other one is so. How can I just be using something that is already made, got by somebody, and then use it to apply to? Because I didn't know that, yes, that's for some people. That is okay. But that is creativity too. You could take that to do another thing, to create, to discover different formulas and all that. So that's what I wanted to. I wanted to discover different formulas. I got the formula you gave me, but let me use this formula and create my own. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, I got it. You gave me this formula. I'm not against it. Let's use it to resolve this. But in resolving the other thing, I want to now approach it, use this formula and get my own formula. But they said, no, you are wrong. And they begin to beat me again. It was later on in life that I discovered that you just follow that formula. That's it. I said, so easy. So why are everybody saying that mathematics is so difficult? I discovered that it's too easy. I thought I needed to come up with the answer. But now I didn't need to come up with any answer. I just need to remember. I didn't know that mathematics is so easy like that. Because I used to think you must think it out. You must come up with the answer. That's what I like to do. Anyway, why am I telling this story? When I eventually did what they told me to do, when I eventually began to read the way they encouraged me to read, when I eventually started, I got it. I could read. I could read eventually. I so much started enjoying it. I started enjoying reading so much so bad that I couldn't get myself out of the book. I couldn't get book out of my hand. I started reading. I was so happy. I did it. I was so happy. I was so satisfied. I was getting so much knowledge that, my God, I wanted to stay in the house the whole day just reading. I would have holidays for 3 months, and I would just like to stay in the house for 3 months just reading different books. But because I was in the village, my grandmother would not allow me to just sit down and be reading. It's like I'm lazy. It's like, you are lazy. How can you sit there and just be reading? You don't want to go and work in the farm. Let's go. No, they take me to the farm. They come and kick me out of there and take me to the farm. And take me to the bush, take me to the forest, and to go and fell some trees, and and chop up trees and things like that, and do what I needed to do to put food on the table and provide for the family. But if they had allowed me, but later on, thank God, God helped me. I still got to a place when I was on my own, and I could now study on my own and things like that. But still, can you imagine how many kids are suffering from these things? How many parents are depriving their children? They are kids, so they are children of, engrossing themselves in what they love to do. Because that is actually a pointer to what God has called them to do. Because your calling is in something that you could just spend your whole life doing, your whole time doing, without even noticing time. I used to like it so much that I start reading.